I'm going to give you a brief introduction to organizational network analytics and explain how some of TrustSphere's customers are using it to revolutionize their HR processes. TrustSphere views an employee and their ability to create value for an organization as a combination of employees with the appropriate capability and connectivity. Capability comes from our human capital, skills, experience, qualifications, the things that are traditionally used to understand an employee. TrustSphere believes that this is most powerful when combined with social capital, which is understanding an employee's ability to influence, to collaborate, to innovate, and use their network to create value for the organization. All of us create up to 6 different networks at work, and TrustSphere measures the activity around work, innovation, and expertise by extracting the logs of corporate communications. We use email, instant message, and telephone system log files to build a network for an organization. We never touch message content, we never read emails, we never access the servers where communications are actually stored. We merely use the metadata from the systems to map these complex networks. For 2018, we have 3 specific areas that we are focusing on. This is based on our customer successes in 2017, which I'm now going to illustrate. We are working with several customers at the moment to do 2 things around leadership. The first is to identify talent in the organization. The second is to measure the impact of leadership development. When we talk about identifying talent in an organization, we are augmenting traditional hypo identification programs by measuring the social capital of employees to identify those that build significantly different networks. We know, for example, that high potential employees build 40% more networks than the average employee. And as we can see in the graph on the left, they build those large networks much faster than an average employee. So we can help organizations, for example, a large telecoms company in Asia, to validate the quality of their talent pool and to also explore hidden talent throughout the organization who haven't been picked up by traditional talent identification processes. Once talent is identified, we go in and measure the impact of leadership development courses. So working with one of the world's largest fast-moving consumer goods companies, in parallel with a consulting company who are delivering a leadership development course, we are measuring the changes in the leader's behavior over the duration of the course, as well as measuring if a leader's behavior changes. For example, do they become more collaborative? Do they exert more influence in the organization? Do they form new networks and relationships outside their traditional team and department? We also measure the impact of the leadership course on the employee's direct reports. So we look to see if the leader's team changes their own behavior. Do they become more collaborative? Do they reduce working in silos? All of these activities we pick up and we evaluate over the duration of the course to make sure that leadership development money is spent developing leaders who actually change their behavior. We're also working with one of the world's largest insurance companies to help them identify signals of employee burnout. So employee wellness being one of the big topics for this year, we've identified 3 network and productivity related behaviors that we can measure that help us to understand an employee's risk of burning out. The first one we see in the left-hand table is over collaboration. The average employee, as we can see in this organization, has only 35 simultaneous relationships. But we could identify a group of employees who had 3 times the number of communications relationships. So this means these people are constantly being asked for opinions, being asked to collaborate, being asked to contribute, and we know that these people eventually burn out. We can also see employees' working patterns. So we can see at what time do they start sending email and what time do they stop sending email. So we know that employees most at risk of burnout have a poor work-life balance. And these employees in this example are sending over double the number of emails outside working hours as an average employee. The third chart shows focus or focus hours. So we look to see how often an employee is interrupted during their hour by their email. We know that the less time a person spends in email, the more productive they are and the better outcomes they achieve. So we combine all three of these signals into a score, which we then baseline amongst the team or department to establish normal behavior, and then we look for those employees who are showing the signals that they are most at risk of burnout. Our third area of focus for this year is understanding diversity and increasing inclusion. So we have a couple of examples here where we've worked with customers to measure the differences in employee networks across genders and demographic groupings. So for example, as we look to see how do we build a group of female leaders to lead the organization, we can see whether the employee leaders who are coming through the pipeline are building the right sorts of networks. Are they influencing? Are they known by the right people? Are they visible to the right parts of the organization? The other side of that, tied in with our leadership development, is we also educate a manager to show them where their network is, how diverse it is, and where it's spread throughout the organization. Because we know that managers with diverse networks make better hiring and promotion decisions. So we're helping managers to understand where their network may be weak and where it may be strong so that they can make better hiring decisions. These are just three of the areas that we're focusing on in 2018, and we'd love to talk to you.